Good afternoon, Town of LaPointe Regular Planning and Zoning Town Plan Commission. 4:30 PM, April 1st, 2026. Call to order, roll call.
Charles Brummer.
Jim Peters.
Jimmy Baxter.
Paul Wilharm
Ron Socha.
and Sue Ellen's here by Zoom. Public comment, less than 1 minute. Paul?
This month, in the zoning rewrite, there was wording that allowed educational facilities in the S1 zone as a CUP. This was removed, which is fine by me. If such items are being slipped in, how about doing me a favor and removing educational facilities as either permitted or conditional uses in the W2 zone?
Thank you, Paul. Anyone else? I would like to make a motion to move under old business E up right above the zoning administrator report to accommodate Katie so she can split.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, under old business, response letter to property owner regarding complaints received for wedding events at 951 Whitefish Lane. Status update.
Yeah, so this is something that's been on the agenda for a while now. And, we're looking to get some DPC and our goal, Town of LaPointe is to make sure that we're treating everyone fairly and we're looking at all of the options and working together to make the best decision at the end of the day. And Katie is prepared as we've been going through this, just kind of a 1-page, history, room accommodation taxes and property tax update. I'm going to turn it over to her. And then on the second page that she handed out is an email that went to the property owner a couple of weeks ago that we're currently working through the items on that. So I'll turn it over to Katie. And
so one of the first issues we have outside of just the complaints is the fact that where this is located doesn't permit for what's occurring there for the events, but also it's a high occupancy rental. So if you remember the ordinance when it changed, a high occupancy rental can only do short-term renting. It cannot do daily rent unless it was grandfathered in. And so we've been having back and forth with the homeowner because they think they should have a daily permit still. But on the very top where it says permit history, it breaks down the fact that he got his Ashland County permit through Health and Safety on September of 23. And he did not apply for his permit here until 6/10 of 2024, and all the ordinances went into effect in May of 2024. So he had no withstanding daily permit before the ordinance changed to grandfather. So he had been issued daily permits in 24 and 25. 24, I don't know why. 25 would have been an oversight on my part, not knowing all the rules yet when we took over and started doing the permitting when no one was there yet, because it was before I was hired on. But moving forward, I think we should just do the short term because that's what they qualify for. And that came with pushback from the current owner. But that's why I wrote down the list, because I don't see how they can be grandfathered in if they didn't apply, even though he had the counties long before he even applied for ours. Had he done it any time before then, he would have been grandfathered in. So that's one of the first issues. The next one is room accommodation taxes and property taxes must be current in order to rent out your rental unit. Last year and all past years, the VRBO does pay for the bookings that he does through VRBO, but they do direct bookings. And we know that for a fact. We have talked to him about that. He's going to get us a check for this last year, but we don't have one for the years prior that any of the personal ones were done. So that's a struggle there because I don't have, I can't tell what people do on a personal rental unless we can match it with an event date or something else. So that's a struggle. He is current on the VRBO part of it, but not on the personal ones that he needs to pay through his own bookings. And then as for property taxes, he was delinquent last year when granted the permit, but since then he has gotten it current. And that was the point he intended to, he got it current all the way till July of this year. He did his first half into all of last year's receipt. So that's why I broke all these down, because there's stuff we talked about with him originally. And then on the next page, we have everything that we had said in the there's can kind of update you with where we're at.
Yeah, so we met with the property owner on March 10th. And we really had 4 items. And this email here is just what went to the property owner. Confirming those IOUs from the meeting, right? You talk about a lot in 90 minutes. So you want something to list, and this is what went. And the first one was coordination and communication with Ed, the previous zoning administrator, and Pam, who works for Ashland County. And I've been in this role for 9 months or so. So, looking back at historical data is always very important to see what transpired before me. That information, communication and emails, that was due to us on March 24th. We received that on March 24th. And it really confirmed what Katie prepared on the previous page, the timelines. The second item on here is changes to lease and new rules for guests. The property owner knows and understands that there were complaints during 2 events that happened last year. And in recognition of that, he's in process of updating his lease for his new guests and the rules that go along with that lease. He has been very clear with us, and we saw it through the previous lease, that the guests at those two events broke numerous rules that were already in there. So he's tightening that up. He's meeting with his attorney this week, and those will be submitted to us by April 15th. I talked to him 2 days ago. I think it was Monday. And I even said, if you've got them April 7th, share them with us. If you've got them April 3rd, share them with us. He understands the urgency to get that in our hands. Katie talked about number 3, which is the room accommodation tax and Verbo and some of the issues that we still face. He did provide the download from Verbo's website, and we've reviewed that. And there were a couple events that were not on there, those events that happened last summer. He acknowledged that. He was going through his records and was going to be providing those to us, as well as a check for what he owes us. And then this all started, there was in addition to the complaints we received, there was a complaint filed with DSPS. And the last one is the site visit. Steve Schroffnagel, and I attended that with him, had a list of 18 items that he would like addressed. And those were provided to the property owner in October, and then again as an attachment to our letter in December. We will be setting up a site visit the 3rd week of May to review those and see the status. So we're getting near the end of this, and I realize that it has been going on a while, and that's been due to, exchange of information, and there's some longer gaps in there than probably anyone would like. But we are getting, this is complex. This is complicated. There's a lot of issues that go on. In just looking at the Verbo website, there are 67 days on his calendar that are blocked off, starting in May, running through October. I use the term blocked off because I don't know if those were rented or he's blocked them off for family type things. But we have the duration of the rental that's we're going to ultimately need to be making a decision on. Yep, go ahead.
The main issue that we are facing is that the complaints are because he's holding an event in a place that is not zoned for event. The hard part is that the zoning ordinance or the rental ordinance just describes an event as having more than 3 times what you can sleep. He can sleep 40 people, so that means as long as he has 120 or less people, we don't consider it an event. According to our rules. And that's what's frustrating, because clearly to me, an event is when you have people over for a wedding, and that's an event, right? But that's not what it dictates in there. And so we need clarification on that, of what the board actually defines an event to be able to monitor what could be an event.
An event is anything where there's monetary consideration,
I would think the same thing too, but because it's not in our rules,
right?
that's the hard part, because I know we have, you know, if I want to go get married on my own property that happens to be a rental, it's fine because I'm using it for my own use. That's in the ordinance, because you're not making money off it. I understand that. But, and I understand that, you know, I would consider these events, clearly the neighbors would consider these events, but when he pulls it open and points it out, that's what's been brought to us. And because it can sleep such a massive amount of people, it puts it way up there.
I'm not gonna go over there and count if there's exactly 120 people.
That.
That was my concern when this whole, I wasn't on the board yet at the time, but that was my concern, is who's gonna police this? I would have rather seen no events, but that was my opinion as an individual.
And it's tricky, we do have some places on the island that can do them or get a conditional use and they aren't competing with this one because of its location becomes very tricky and it's hard to watch. We have the complaints that specific times, dates, noise, all the complaints have that information, which is helpful, but those are always after the fact.
Well, we're planning on tweaking that rental ordinance as soon as we're done with the zoning ordinance. And that should help. I am a little concerned that we're kind of leading this guy on because he was issued daily permits for 24 and 25, so he's under the impression that, you know.
He never qualified, so I understand that he received that, but he also received them after the date. And at any time, I know we're allowed to change permits rules, and if they qualify under the current rules, he does not qualify for a daily rent.
Right.
And he did have it before the date. And that was brought to him. He is aware of that. So I don't mind issuing him a permit under the short-term high occupancy.
If he meets all the criteria prior to the permit issuance.
And he hasn't applied yet for this year. So any rentals he has after June 14th aren't on the current permit.
Right. Any thoughts, Jim?
The way our rental ordinance is written, he is allowed to have that high number of people at rental place. So I don't see how we can do anything about that at this time.
Yeah, well, it's, we need to use it as a lesson that we need to tighten it up because, you know, that 120 people on that property does not allow the neighbors peaceable enjoyment. And additionally, in Steve's report, it indicates that a normal sleeping arrangement for that property is 20 to 25 people. So that, you know, that 40, you know, on the next permit issuance where it says sleeping, you know, needs to follow the UDC inspector's advice.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Amy?
Yeah, otherwise he could say 60.
Well, yeah, if he goes by UDC, then the party can only be 60, 70 people.
That helps the case of events, at least dwindling it down.
Mhm.
You know, as gathering doesn't state really, anything less than that is a gathering and we allow gatherings. And again, the verbiage on gatherings is relaxed.
I honestly think moving forward with the rental ordinance that you know, the number of people that a dwelling sleeps should be the maximum allowed on the property, which is what many municipalities do. It doesn't mean they're gonna not exceed that, and most of the time, rules are broken and nobody complains because it doesn't bother anybody, but
This,
We need ordinances that have teeth,
I agree. I don't mind enforcing them, but I wanna have something to stand on to enforce.
right?
When I read the ordinances the way they are, so.
Yeah, and there's other, venues where they can legally have events and they're not taking out the event permit.
So in your research, when was the first time he had a rental over there? Because we know May of 24 was when the rental ordinance, the new rental ordinance went into effect.
He started in that
That summer of 24, but it was after May of 24, clearly.
Well, after
Yeah,
May,
it
because
was-
the permit was issued 6/10.
No, he applied for the permit on 6/10.
Oh,
He
and
didn't get it till September 2024. And
Okay.
that I don't have an explanation for.
But it's after May of 20.
Yep, I can see when the checks were cashed, I can find when the permit was printed, I went through all of that. But as you know, we weren't, so. But he didn't have a permit until that date, so I don't know if he was going before that date,
Okay.
and I can't go back and look because I don't have a way to.
We do know that construction was taking place from late 22 through September of 2023, when Ashland County issued the health certification.
well. as
Well,
frustrating as this-
I agree that when you redo the rental, we don't do well when we leave things loose. Anytime we've tried to do that, to give people a break, it hasn't worked. We've had to go in and do new verbiage and all kinds of stuff to tighten things up, because if there's a loophole, everybody's gonna find it. Thank you for all your work, Katie. That was good.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean to upset anyone who worked on the ordinances, I mean, we don't know until it comes into effect what may or may not be a problem. For the most part, this is the only thing I've seen.
Yeah, we really,
Issues.
we thought we were doing a good job with it, and we did not see the Peterbilt truck that drove through it.
We're there.
Well, as frustrating as it is, we just have to let it play out.
It is what it is right now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're trying to find a path from where we're at today to bring this property and all properties into compliance. And I use the term, kind of an off-ramp. And it's looking at being fair to everyone and figuring out a way that ultimately we get to where we need to be, whether that's in a month or in 6 months, allowing the property owners to change things and adjust.
Yeah. Well, there's also some misconceptions out there about grandfathering. Just because we switch an ordinance doesn't mean that people are just grandfathered in.
And the only grandfathering we had was for the daily permits when those were created. And you had to have one before the enforcement date. So I researched all of that. It doesn't apply to any other ordinance.
Right. And we wouldn't have even had to have done that.
But I do see where some people, I think I only have 2 people who are grandfathered in. They do not hold events there, but they are occupancy doing it daily. But as long as it doesn't switch hands.
Right.
So I'm keeping track of those as well.
Thanks.
Oh, one more thing in the rental ordinance currently for an event. It says an allowed function in the C1 commercial district and a permitted function at other rental dwellings in designated zoning districts. If you look through the current ordinance, there are no events listed for any other zoning districts or any zoning districts. for that.
And that's in the zoning ordinance.
Right,
Yeah. So
But-
the zoning ordinance is in a little bit of a conflict right now
Right,
with the
but-
rental ordinance.
the event, it's the definition for events in the rental ordinance. Says that events are allowed in a commercial district and they're permitted in other districts that are listed. None are listed. So if none are listed, I don't think he can have an event.
And
It's under the guise that it's not really an event, it's a gathering, right?
because that's what.
So he hasn't applied for any events.
No one on the island has applied for an event permit for rentals.
I guess we have to wait and see what he does.
He's
And if
not
he does-
going to need an event permit if it's for less than 120 people.
No, but if he has more,
And that's the thing. I don't mind going to events or places and checking out. No one's gonna want me there. But I mean,
Well, I
we
mean,
have to do what we have to do, but
Trespass.
there's a lot that goes into it.
and then we've got the whole alcohol issue this summer that went into effect and that,
New, but manageable.
and who's gonna enforce that?
We have talked to the police, so if they get called for anything else, they can check to see if that's there. It would be more like a secondary offense, or if you see it. But it's known. You can't have, there actually can't be any hard liquor in any of the rentals, basically. So,
with a event or gathering, yeah. So,
and you can't charge for anything. They have to give it out for free. So if you have a wedding or something at anyone's place, hard alcohol can't be there and they can only give away beer and wine. So like cash bars and stuff, they can't do. With the exclusion of commercial, of course, because they already have their liquor licenses.
Do we have a definition for gathering?
Anything less than 3 times the sleeping amount.
well, we're gonna fix some of that.
It needs to be tweaked then.
I think the key here is our UDC inspectors report that 40 is just too high of a capacity for that structure.
So Steve's was, under the thinking of it being a commercial site, because when you went out to it, it's not really a residential building. I mean, no one lives in there and it's used like a rental. So his is as a commercial, look through where it can't even be a commercial where it's known. So it's a very strange area.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of different shades of gray.
But that building's best first use would be commercial. With how it's been redone and how it's utilized. So,
Well, that's the wrong little slice of heaven on the island for a commercial structure.
yes.
Well, you got Woods Manor right next door, so.
And they could get a conditional use permit to be bed and breakfasts, but only if they live in it.
Yep.
So I brought that up to him as well. If it was his primary, that would be different, but it's not.
Yeah. I guess I would just, again, see if you ran the scenario past Steve that this is not gonna do events. It's just, a weekly rental, not a nightly rental, a weekly rental, What about the sleeping capacity? What's safe?
Sure.
What's safe?
Yeah, and I'll take the IOU. I have a meeting scheduled Friday morning. I'll take the IOU on that.
Cause I think, if he says 25, that helps.
Yeah,
Cause there's a big difference between 75 and 120. As we move forward until we tweak that rental ordinance. Okay, we ready to move back to 3?
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks, Katie.
Zoning administrators report.
Yeah, so everyone has a copy of the March 2026 report. So as you know, I took on the grants administrator role January 1st. So you're going to see that in here. I'm not going to talk about it here because that's really out of scope of TPC. But I also have to do a report, for the town board. So that's why I included in one. So during the month, very busy month, we worked a lot on the zoning ordinance, made it through sections 1 through 6. And tonight we're going to be talking about 7 through 16. And permits, as you saw, we have 5 different either land use permit applications or topics to discuss tonight. So appreciate the hard work on the and definitely on the zoning ordinance. So we ended up in, this is already outdated here. I wrote this yesterday, but we do have 4 packages to review tonight on the land use permits. And then we were able to complete those 2 CSMs last month. And those were approved by the town board on March 10th and then sent to the surveyor the next day. I've also been talking with property owners regarding potential saunas and modifications to existing primary dwellings. We've talked about the reconfiguring of the 2 existing lots. And then the 3350 Stockton Road, the primary dwelling, it was on the agenda already. We're going to be talking about that tonight. So, looking back, and I look back to 2024, in March of 2024, we actually issued 6 permits and 0 last year. So when we get through these tonight, this year is starting to look a little bit more like 2024 instead of 2025. The next month or so we'll tell more. I've been working with Katie, especially on the issue we just talked about. So I'm coordinating with her as the short-term rental administrator. She is starting to get in the rental permit applications for 2026. As of a few days ago, that was up to 6 already had submitted in advance of the June deadline. So making good progress there. I did some training during the month. I attended a vapor intrusion webinar. We do have a few sites on the island that are designated as those sites. And then I am starting to sit in on the Great Lake Islands Alliance, GLIA. There are Zoom calls. There were 2 during the month, so they were about an hour apiece. That's where all of the islands, most of the islands in the Great Lakes get together and talk about issues that they face. I think it's worth my time to learn about the challenges that they're having on other islands. As I'm new, the more I can learn, the better off we'll be here. So again, like I said, a very busy month on the TPC side.
Thank you. Approval of the previous meeting minutes, regular TPC meeting, March 4th, 2026.
It said under public present was state via Zoom on that. Can't recall. There. He was great, but I just.
I'll take a look.
I think he was.
Was he public?
I don't think for the whole meeting.
Correct.
Okay. Extended public comment, grammar at the end of that first sentence. It said if I need a permit item, if someone is doing a remodeling, a plumbing permit is required from the sanitary district if they're adding fixtures or piping with an emphasis on adding, should say adding something new, period, instead of just on adding.
Got it. Thank you.
And that's all I have.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular TPC meeting of March 4th, 2026 with the corrections noted.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Old business, discuss and possibly approve some land use permit applications. The first one, 2912 Big Bay Road. The Rickman's primary dwelling.
And I'm happy to go through it, or if you have any questions. They've been a pleasure to work with. They're actually on the Zoom call tonight. They've been great about providing me information. There they are. Hello. They've been great about providing information throughout since they bought the lot. Worked with them in the fall to get the site clearing, and then I've worked with them this spring to get ready for the dwelling. Super detailed information. I greatly appreciate providing information on where the well is going to be located, where the holding tank is going to be located, sharing information throughout. I greatly appreciate that. And sanitary permit was issued the end of February. And I was out there. I did the site visit on March 30th. A lot of snow and all the pictures you're going to see today. But it is ready to go.
I'll make a motion to approve the land use application for Robin Marine Rickman as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second one, 442 Boho Lane.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
The Sealers accessory structure.
Tyler.
Yep, so this,
Yeah, so
yes, this is an interesting one, because what we're doing tonight is just approving the carport portion. The reason being is the primary dwelling addition actually goes into the setback of his existing lot. He purchased the lot just to the south, closed on it in February, but needs to go through the CSM process first so that he meets setbacks. Been coordinating with the surveyor. The surveyor is going to come out either this week or next week and do that survey. So the goal is on May 6th, when we meet next, to have both the CSM for approval and the home addition. But this is just for the carport. The other interesting thing about this one is the carport is within 1,000 feet of the lake. So I coordinated with Ashland County, and a permit is needed for that. But the addition to the home is about 1,040 feet from the lakeshore and does not require an Ashland permit. So I went out, property owner was there on March 24th. I went out, he helped me do the measurements to confirm the stakes were in the right location. So in my judgment, the carport is ready for approval.
I'm a little confused is this a garage or a carport?
It started off as a garage and has morphed into a carport. So it was a garage with a bonus room to begin with, and then during the development of the information, it changed.
So it's just gonna be a carport.
Correct.
same size as the garage.
Same size as the garage. So the picture of the final product.
It's on a foundation. They could turn it into a garage later by adding walls.
Correct. So the picture of the carport is on the bottom of page 2. Yep. But I included calling it a garage because of the morphing process through the review and discussion with the
So if
property.
they do change it into a garage, they'll need to get another permit for
Yes,
changing it.
it would be a change of use. On page 7, I've highlighted his existing parcel, and
So that's the one he purchased.
correct,
Okay.
the one immediately to the south, or to the bottom of the page.
I'll make a motion to approve the land use application for Joseph and Francis Tyler as presented.
Any
Second.
discussion? All in favor? Aye. Have the third one, 3350 Stockton Road.
Yeah, and I apologize to everyone for getting this out to you so late. You should have gotten it this afternoon. I've been working with the architect since January, but I was very familiar with the project because I was working with the architect, but the actual permits just showed up yesterday. I was able to go out and do a site visit end of the day yesterday and confirm everything. Since we used the kind of same template, I had already pre-populated some of it. So we were in a good spot. So this is for a primary dwelling. Received the application for both Ashland County and Town of LaPointe. The one for Ashland County actually went through Ashland County. because it was submitted as part of their sanitary permit. So the sanitary permit was issued by Bruce today, April 1st. So that was completed. The only thing on our checklist, which is a little unusual, is so they paid Ashland County because it was part of the sanitary permit. The fees, we've agreed upon the fees. They're currently in the mail on their route to us. They actually sent me a copy of the check that they mailed. I don't have it yet, but it's the right amount and should be here in a couple of days. Like I said, I did the site visit yesterday, and it meets our setback requirements. Like I said, the sanitary permit was issued today. Ashland County sent me a copy of it. No wetlands, and the town inspector is aware of this project. I sent him the plans yesterday. So page 2 is a copy of what the proposed structure looks like. Page 3 shows the setback. So it originally was going to be at 50 feet. They're moving it to 52 feet to account for the eaves on the house from the side lot setback. But I was very impressed when I was out there yesterday. It kind of shows in the picture. When they had the lot surveyed, they put stakes every 50 or 75 feet that show where that 50-foot setback is, which is great because, you know, normally you'll have 1,000-foot property line and you see a stake over there and you see a stake over there and you're like, but they're building here.
Yeah.
So to get the 50 feet exactly right, I do appreciate that. They're 115 feet from the cliff, so far greater than the 75 feet on the front of the lot. You know, this is one that is ready to go. Like I said, the only difference is that, you know, the mail just hasn't delivered.
So approve it contingent upon receipt of payment.
I'm fine with that.
I'll make a motion to approve the land use application for Timothy Larson and Kathleen O'Donnell, contingent upon receipt of payment and as submitted.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 1451 Middle Road, Arnie Nelson, potential lot reconfiguration
Yeah, now this isn't part of a
application.
correct. This is continuation of a discussion that we had concerning the 250 feet requirements along the shoreline. It runs perpendicular between the lot lines, and that's something that Steve Norton, our assessor, has validated. And honestly, I went back and looked at the survey of not even really perpendicular. So, you know, we've got two options here. I guess I should have labeled now looking back on it. So the front or the back. So basically, there's one. And the first one I'm going to look at extends the property line into Lake Superior and then measures 250 feet across. So we'll call that option 1. And then there's a dog over right at the shoreline. The backside, option 2, measures the 250 feet from where the northernmost property line intersects Lake Superior, so that line does not get extended into Lake Superior. I extended it and it shows the dash line. Maybe we call it dash and no dash.
Okay.
So that brings the 250 feet further north, closer to the existing house.
Well, maybe a third option would be running the 250 up to this back line. I know the ordinance, you know, it's talking about 250 along the lake and 200 on the road. And taking over the weekend on this plot that he's creating here, this parcel doesn't actually connect to the road. So can we apply the 200 feet to the back line if it's not connecting to the road? I think, especially this option is kind of subverting the intent of zoning altogether. If you can say this is 250 down here, well, then this could be 200, and it kind of defeats the purpose of having a 250-foot lot width on lakeshore lots, as far as I'm concerned. So that'd be my concern, is going forward, I'm doing these goofy little bump outs and screwy things here just to get the frontage, and then zipping down, like you had a picture at one time with an hourglass almost, where
I did.
going down to here and then opening up again. And my only concern is the integrity of zoning along the lake. I don't know how else to put it. Doing these little jogs and stuff. I think that, for lack of a better term, the spirit of doing 250 is to have 250. And then on the road, as I recall, the reason we went to 200 was to accommodate people on the inland side of, say, the S1 district, that, for 200 feet instead of 250, because it was always a priority of, preserving that lake frontage more than anything. I don't know how else to say it, but I'll just leave it at that.
Part of the property owner's intent, I believe, is that if that lot to the east is ever sold, that right now the property line runs very close to his existing house.
Well, it'd be closer if the person that might buy lot 3 gets a variance. It can be even closer with the setback.
Right. So he was trying to create some space so that that the two houses wouldn't be as close as they could be.
Right.
And a variance would even reduce that.
Correct. So right now that lot is 72 feet wide, correct?
Correct.
I mean, even at 250, he's gaining
Me too.
22 feet. I mean, I don't know. I said my piece.
But Charlie, I'm not real clear on what you're saying as far as measure that 250 feet, or is that not necessary?
No, I think the 250 is necessary. What clouds the issue is the 200 feet on the road in the ordinance. As you know, it says 200 feet for road width in S1, and then 250 on the lake. So like I was talking to Rich earlier today, maybe we should, when we're doing the ordinance rewrite, is say the 200 is road frontage and then lake frontage. So that in a case like this, where in Arnie's case or anyone's case, where you're creating two separate lots, like he's creating this as lot 3, fine, but the road is back here. So how can you say that this back line is all of a sudden against the road when it's not connected? Would be my argument on that. I mean, if this lot 4 wanted to be 200 feet, I could see that. The argument being that it's along the road, but this front lot, it's 250 because it's along the lake, and we know now how we're measuring the lot width.
So are neither of these options acceptable?
Well, my opinion is, in this case, he should have this front lot be 250, and I have a red line here showing that. It kind of splits the difference between Rich's line and the existing line, I guess. And then this, I mean, it's fine for acreage, obviously. It's more than 3 acres. Same thing with lot 4. I would just think the whole thing should be 250 feet the whole way instead of having this jog over. But I don't know what you guys feel or what Sue Ellen feels. It's just something that came to mind because it just doesn't seem the intent of the ordinance, because the ordinance is saying 200 against the road, but this isn't against, alongside the road.
They understand to move the line here all the way down.
That's what I'm
At 250 feet
Yeah.
of lakeshore.
And that's the problem, is that Ernie doesn't want anybody building next to his house.
Yeah.
So that's why he doesn't want the line.
Guy wants to sell a lot. Or
Right.
Because I think, if we start allowing this for anyone, it's
So how
gonna,
does the landowner obtain that piece of property to make it 250 feet wide?
Well, Arnie was gonna buy 50.
well, he's got more than that right now. He's 72. He wants to
He just doesn't-
reconfigure this
He
back.
just isn't gonna be able to buy 50 feet. What does it end up being?
I mean-
25 feet?
22.
22 feet?
Is this,
And the existing lot of record is 272 in width, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so Arnie wanted to reduce it at one point
okay,
to like
so
225.
this is an existing property line right now?
That's how I read it, correct, Rich?
Very fine
A
line.
real fine line,
Yeah.
close to his garage,
Yeah, right
like
here.
5 feet off of his garage or 10 feet.
Yep.
Yeah.
So right now, how did he ever get that setback?
Well, that's a
That
private
was
record. That
before,
was,
before zoning.
yeah, his parents built that well before 72. That's
Yeah.
not an issue in my book.
Okay, would he have to extend this line the whole length of the property, or does he just need to extend it? Put it in for, so he gets 250 somewhere?
Yeah, well, from here, which we're measuring
Right.
this at 250, it would have to be at least to the point where he can create 3 acres to make it a legal lot, where he's creating a legal lot. Obviously, you can't make a lot 250 feet wide and only 2 acres when it's 250 and 3 acres.
Mhm.
So he's got more than enough acreage with 5.12. I mean, hell, he could move this line from here down to here and have a bigger lot 4.
Mhm.
But in lot 4, honestly, I guess the way it's written now, it could be 200 feet wide. Right now, it's gonna stay at 272, but, that's,
Mhm.
as we've talked about,
So
200
this-
doesn't extend to
This
the lake.
line would not have to extend all the way to this property line, but it would have to go far enough. to
So he
make
could
this
get 3 acres, yeah, that's how I look at it. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know what Amy thinks or Paul thinks. So Ellen, you following?
I didn't get a lot of this stuff in the mail, so I'm just listening to what you guys say.
Correct.
Well, actually, I like.
Yeah, so the exhibit
I like
is
Charlie's
attached
idea.
to the email.
I just see this jogging around and no offense, Rich or anyone else, but doing this jogging part just to all of a sudden make 250 and then whoop, we're down to 200 or 150 or whatever, I think is gonna lead us into issues later on, especially when the setbacks
So
are
he
50
gets to
feet.
buy 22 feet instead of 50 feet.
Yes, yeah,
That's the bottom line.
but it's better than what he's got now, which might be 5 or 6 feet to the back of the
Yeah.
garage.
Good fences make good neighbors.
Anyways, that'd be my 2 cents. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Well, no, I think you're on the right track, Charlie, to do it in a way that we can live with in the future and not have to look back and wonder, why did we do that? Now somebody else is gonna come up with.
And then to clarify it when we get to the zoning rewrite on what it means with 200 feet for road frontage and 250 feet if it's a lake lot, because
And where is that in the ordinance? It would get changed in definitions
it
or?
would be at the,
16,
At the
section
end.
16, yeah.
when we get
Well, I
there.
mean, as far as jigs and jogs go, what's wrong with them as long as they're legal? And we approved something at the last meeting, giving the wilderness preserve, breaking the property to the wilderness preserve with the goofiest jig and jog I'd seen in a long
For
time.
the dam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just so they could get a
That's
beaver dam.
that's not Lake Road. I think.
But that was on the roadside, that wasn't on the lakeside, that was the difference.
Right.
And here again, if he, for some reason, if he started off, if this was all one lot, let's say, and he wanted 250 here and it went back to 200 along the road, I could live with that. But the fact that he's creating 2 separate lots, 3 and 4, and that lot 3 doesn't attach to the road, are we not following the ordinance then by?
Well, were these always separate or did he
It
just
was,
create?
no, this was all one
Oh, it
parcel.
was, okay.
Yeah, and he's creating this because his cousins want to retain lot 4, whereas they want to sell lot 3, is my understanding.
Right.
Because this has all been in the Nelson family for a long time. That was his uncle that owned this originally. His parents owned that. His
What
other
if 3
uncle-
and 4 stayed together?
Well, for the 3 and 4, if it stay together, yeah, you could go down to, but why would you? I mean, then what are you creating? You're creating a sliver somewhere? That doesn't make any sense. If it was all one lot and it was a case where he had 200 feet along here, 'cause I mean, you got to remember, this is a certified survey map that he's creating something new, so it has to apply to our ordinance, and it's our job to interpret the ordinance, and that's how I'm interpreting it.
Is the first step to just see if 22 feet is a livable number? Weren't we gonna be talking about this after the zoning rewrite?
We were, but
But he wanted to get this done by June, I thought.
yeah,
He did, yeah.
So I would say that, you know,
that if he wants to do that, then he's gotta go by the current ordinance.
that's how I would, yeah.
Under the current ordinance, he gets 22 feet. He's allowed to buy 22 feet instead of 50 feet.
Mhm.
And how are we changing in the ordinance to?
Yeah, I'm not clear.
Well, that was the road frontage, I think, was the change and
Increasing it from 200 to 250.
and now that it's been pointed out that these lots are being split, so lot 3 isn't even on the road.
Yeah, there's an easement through
Yep.
the unnumbered lot.
So in S1, we have road frontage at 200 and lake at 250.
Right. Yeah. I have to look at the current ordinance here. It's not
Yeah, I-
spelled out that well, but I'll get it here. And that always,
It's right at the
that
end.
was not always the case. At one time, it was just 250 the whole way through. And then along the line, we changed it to 200, but it says minimum lot width, frontage, road is 200, lake is 250. But again, if this doesn't abut the road, I don't know how you can make the argument that that rear lot line or the line on the north side of lot 3 is attached to the road.
Pretty simple to me.
I like that talk. And that's why I'm thinking when we get to the minimum lot width, if it says road and lake, we should maybe include the word road frontage, lake frontage, I don't know.
Mhm.
Just to make it a little more clear, because, yeah, it's not that clear. I'll
Detail is
admit that.
possible.
You know, I'll admit it's not super clear, but again, if it's our, you know, we're the ones that make the interpretation. It's not the applicant. It's not someone else. It's, I mean, that's why we're sitting behind this desk, so.
So in the new rewrite, we have minimum lot. We have frontage road and lake. But do you think it should be frontage road?
Well, if
Frontage
it
lake.
says right now, frontage, road, frontage, lake, if that's not clear enough, we should say road, frontage. I don't know if there's a way to make it any more clear, but right now it says frontage up there. And to me, frontage would be,
Right. That's in the current ordinance.
yeah,
In the rewrite, we don't have frontage with lake for minimum lot width.
maybe not if we, I don't know, do we?
No, I'm
Okay.
looking at it right now.
Well, then maybe that's something we should
We
add.
should add,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think so.
so we have.
And
frontage-
you guys can disagree with
Road
me. You can
and
say you're crazy. I don't care, but I'm just stating what I think.
As much as I like to be creative, what you're stating with this issue makes perfect sense.
Agree.
You blew my mind. Appreciate it. Cause yeah, I agree. There's weird lots out there. A lot of them. There's a triangular lot just down the road from here. And I remember it's, you know, it's more than 250 on the lake, but it goes to a point. It's basically on Meerschack corner. And yeah, it gets like 0 on the road, but it's like 300 feet on the lake. So. And that's why we have all those weird configurations in section 15 or 16 dealing with things like that. But that was created a long, long time ago. But this is being created right now in front of us, so almost have to abide by what the rules in the ordinances state, so. I would think.
Agreed. So what are we gonna do? Are we gonna keep it? Are we gonna change it? What?
We're gonna ask him if you can do 22, if he can buy 22.
Rich is gonna tell Arnie, I guess, if this is what we are considering.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, do you have any questions?
I know, I understand.
Okay,
So he needs to make that lot width 250
all the way to the back lot line where
To make-
lot 3 and 4.
to make 3 acres.
Yeah, and as long as it's 3 acres, like I said, he could bring down that line and have more acreage in lot 4, right? Yeah. Why not?
I've seen a lot of cases with these privacy issues where the neighbor just buys the whole property. That's it.
Yeah, if it's a super concern, otherwise,
Yeah.
you know.
Barnard did that across from me. He bought
What's
that whole
wrong?
lot. Barnard did that across from me. He didn't want anybody building on that little lot next to the cart path, so he bought it.
I just want to make sure we're doing right by the ordinance.
That would be an option too.
For him to buy lot 3. Yeah. I'll talk with him.
Ready to move on?
Yes.
868 Whitefish Lane, pool modernization.
Yep, so everyone has the land use application, part of their package. Happy
I
to
don't.
either walk, I'm sorry?
I don't, but it's all right. Whatever you guys decide. And
Um,
the school needs modernization. It's nice to do it legally.
Yeah, and it should be in the email that I sent you yesterday.
I get Heidi's copy machine spitting out stuff and I didn't get it, so that's all right. That's
Okay.
okay. Let's continue. What do they want to do for the modernization?
Yeah, so there's an exhibit, basically fill in the middle between the two ends. Is the proposed project. I included, is there a way to check your email? Maybe you can open a PDF?
That's all right. Whichever you guys, you got all that
But
information. in
I
front
think
of
the whole
you.
thing looks great. Let's just approve it.
Yeah, I think so.
Alright.
I'll make,
I have no concerns. I mean,
I'll make a motion that we approve this as submitted.
Second. Go ahead.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Zoning ordinance rewrite. Review next steps, possibly identify a public hearing date.
Everybody got the point correction for 7/16. Go through the list, to see if anybody has questions.
Let's see if anybody has questions.
Thanks for doing all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's great.
and it's still a work in progress. We can
Right.
always decide to tweak a little something because
Got a little tweaked.
well, yeah, we got a little, let's see here.
I had a note on page 83 unless somebody had something before that.
83,
83. B1, excuse me, 81 B3. So the first line you had delete application. 81B3. That's for a land use application, special exceptions application. It says receive and review such applications and forward them to the zoning board of appeals, but is that not the TPC that gets to review special exceptions? And I wrote down reference page 5743C1. If you want to go to page 57, Jim, 43C1, I think that talks about land use applications for special exceptions. And I think it's the duty of the TPC, not the BOA. Correct?
yep.
I think. That makes sense.
Good.
My only other comment was at the section of, start of section 9 on page 91. This is more just of a general thing. You know, at one of our meetings, maybe Jim brought this up, but maybe this is too deep to get into and maybe we should wait after a public hearing, but you were mentioning, should we even be allowing a 50% addition to some structure that was non-conforming? Or did I recall that wrong?
Yeah.
I thought you made the comment at one time in our discussions that should we even be allowing an addition to a non-conforming structure?
Right. I did make that
You
comment. And
still feel strongly that way, or are we?
not after we discussed it.
Okay. All right.
I think this is all right because like you said, I'm not gonna try and remember your exact words.
No, but it's been in there for a while and
Yeah.
it hasn't come up that often. I think the Gretzner, it came up over there maybe a little bit, but it doesn't come up a lot, so.
And why should we restrict people that just happen to have a non-conforming structure from doing, in addition? And so, yeah.
Okay, good
That's
enough.
fine.
And the only other thing I had, and it actually goes back to page 24 under the R1 district. One thing I noticed that I forgot to mention the last time probably was dwellings, multi-household.
What page you on?
I'm back on page 24.
Okay.
24, excuse me. 3.5 R1 residential district, and under permitted use, number 4, dwelling multi-household. Currently that's listed as a CUP in our current ordinance, so that's a conditional use, and why it got moved up to permitted. My concern with that is that, as you know, R1 does extend beyond the sanitary district, because it goes all the way down to basically Sari Demarest corner on South Shore Road on the lake. So that's not serviced by sanitation, sewer. And the same thing, I think it extends all the way out past the airport on the lake. Again, not, and I would think if someone's building a multi-household dwelling, which is a duplex, triplex, fourplex, or 4 tiny homes, you're going to want more than likely to be, connected to the sewer and not have a bunch of holding tanks. So why that was, I have no problem putting it under conditional uses. That's where it is now. But why we have it listed as a permitted use, I think that's a bit of a stretch.
So let's just switch it.
That's what I was thinking, unless anyone had objections to that. Or could tell me why we moved it up to permitted instead of conditional.
I have no idea.
And there are, and I will agree, there's areas around the golf course that's serviced by sewer, that's R1, makes sense there. But if you look at the map, not all R1 is available to connect to sewer.
Well, can you say permitted use in the sanitary district? The parts of R1 that are?
Yeah, I don't know.
Easier just to throw it in conditional.
Well, let's face it, Amy, a conditional use is a permitted use with conditions.
Yeah,
They never
Right.
get denied.
Right.
Hardly ever.
Yeah.
I can think of one in like 30 years, so
right, okay.
it gives a little more review to the process.
So that we make sure that they're in the sanitary.
Yeah,
Okay,
well, and honestly, Amy, I don't know how many people, if they're developing, that kind of density, why they wouldn't want to be on the sanitary.
right, yep.
You could with a CUP outside the sanitary district, but. And there again, if someone wants to bring it up at a public hearing, good. But I think that's all I had, Paul, as far as.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jim, I appreciate the updates on section 15 complaints. I have no complaints.
Did you read it?
Yeah,
Oh, you should. So is that something that we'll try and include or rewrite then?
yeah, I think there should be some time limitations to, just get the ball
I mean, it
moving a little
puts
better.
more into
Yeah.
lap to have to deal with. So,
Yeah, because right now, there's no time.
I think
And that's, I think it's good to add,
complainants are,
right?
somewhat frustrated right now.
Sure,
So-
and I think part of it though is, you know, there are extenuating circumstances, issues that we need to walk through with those, so. You know, holding to these, you know, if we don't make 60 days on a review. You know, we need to think about what consequences of that are, because like some of the complaints we've been working through, there have been requests for additional information and we don't get it right away. And so we need to think through, you know, how that works.
Right.
And I agree, having deadlines on everything would be good. Because then you keep to those to the extent you can, but
And keep in mind, all this stuff that we're working on still has to pass the sniff test
it does,
of the town's attorney.
absolutely.
So do you think we need to add something to section 15 or some of those timelines as they're not?
Well, I'm thinking
First of all,
about,
right here, it says, you know, there's words like significance, you know, that's a helpful word because,
right,
you know, that has a little bit of
Yeah, if
an
they're
off ramp.
That's
being
from the
made.
current ordinance. I use mostly the language of the.
yeah, I like having deadlines, but there may be extenuating circumstances as you go through some. That make that, I mean, every effort should be made to complete within 60 days or whatever we end up putting. But there very well may be, for good reason, why things go beyond that.
But I didn't feel it was necessary to add that language. The zoning administrator's discretion. Or whatever.
Right, no, I understand that, I wouldn't want that, but, there's still maybe some that go beyond that.
Anything else on the rewrite? Want to pick a date for a hearing?
Fourth of July.
Do you want to see one more finished document before we go picking a date? Or,
That actually might be a good idea.
and do you want to wait till the May 6th meeting to do that, or have a short meeting between now and May 6th, so that's like 5 weeks away? And I don't know if Rich can have time to generate something just for us to review real quick, but
Do you think there's that many issues that we have to look at?
well, I think I'd feel more comfortable to see everything in print again, like the final thing, and then pick a date for a public hearing. Right now, I'm not, without seeing all of our changes in some format, I'm not comfortable on picking a date. That's why I was thinking, because May 6th, I think, is our next meeting. That's
It
like
is.
5 weeks away. If maybe in 3 weeks or something, we can meet just real quick.
If you can get it together. The thing is,
Yeah,
for,
There's a lot of work.
to get Rich to get this all put together.
But at the end of
for
the-
us to have
at the
time
end
to
of the
look at
day,
it
if-
before we meet.
If we don't have a
Yeah.
public hearing until June or July, there's just gonna be more people here, you know, more transparency, more people will show up, which is a good thing.
well, if you don't think we should meet before the 6th, that's fine with me. I'm just
Well,
opening it up.
I'd like to get Rich's input on it, to how long it's gonna take him to put this together and then.
Yeah, undisturbed, it's probably a day's worth of work, you know, between a day and 2 days. You know, to incorporate.
Undisturbed.
Well, yeah. You know, I have time right now. I mean, tomorrow's gonna be getting the permits issued and, you know, can we tentatively schedule something for like the 15th?
Or the week after, even the 22nd.
Yeah,
But like you made a good point. We're gonna have to look at it too.
Yeah.
What do you think, Amy? You're shaking your head. You're busy.
Not the 22nd,
Huh?
not the 22nd.
Or what's a Wednesday, like?
That's a Wednesday, but I'm out too.
You're out of town on the 22nd?
Yeah.
I'm not out of town. It's my birthday and I don't want.
Oh, yeah, don't do that.
Good for you.
Happy birthday. That's my mom's birthday, is the 22nd. That's cool.
Thursday.
Yes. 29? I mean, that would be only then 1 week before.
Yeah, then we may as well just wait till the,
I thought, did somebody knock down the 15th?
Well, I mean, I think we could be ready by the 15th.
I just didn't want to rush it. Or, I mean, if,
We can review it and let Rich know if everything is looking good, you know. Then,
yeah, and if something's not ready, you can always cancel the meeting too. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. Well, pencil it in for the 15th, maybe.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I'll have a handle a week from today, you know.
Yeah, and if it looks like we're rushing it on the 15th, yeah, we can meet some other day.
Yeah.
Or wait till the 6th, yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought with 5 weeks between now and then,
I can support the 15th.
thank you.
Okay, moving forward, we've got some placeholders here.
Well, the holding tank, we have an update on that.
Oh, that's right.
So everyone has, as part of the package, I mean, this has been an ongoing discussion for several months. And what you have in your packet, it's really just 2 pages. I've been working with Ashland County on some language, including a definition that would be added to the zoning ordinance, as well as a location in the document where we would place it. And Ashland County has agreed to our approach and to the language. Now that's not the end all be all. We have to get DSPS agreement. So I've got an email into them to review this. The Maryland Sanitary District is key to this as well as the 2 companies on the island that pump out holding tanks. So there's moving pieces to this. And now that we have Ashland County's agreement and DSPS is, reviewing it right now, the Madeline Sanitary District is next. Because I didn't want to give something to Madeline Sanitary District that was dead on arrival with Ashland County or DSPS. And it's very similar to what Madeline Sanitary District had reviewed and discussed last fall. And again, we can make changes and I'm happy to review with any of the parties and will do. But this gets us going on, the above ground holding tanks to be included as part of the zoning ordinance. And I'm open to anyone's comments, any and all comments. Again, just because Ashland County is in agreement at this point in time, doesn't mean that we can't add change. We're willing to do so.
Yeah, I think it's key to have all stakeholders on board, including the haulers, the sanitary district, Maryland Sanitary District. So yeah, I'd keep pursuing the way you're going.
Yeah, in my old job, we used to have any letter that we called it a grid. It had a grid along the right-hand side where everyone initials off when they're in agreement on the letter. That's sort of what this is,
Sure.
But it's equal stakeholders, Ashland County, DSPS, Madeline Sanitary District, the pump out companies, and of course, TPC.
Yeah.
So I have a question on in definitions, you have take. It says is used by a property owner for their recreational vehicle, travel trail, and construction of their primary dwelling. What about a person that wants to come up here for the summer with their recreational vehicle, travel trailer? Can they use above ground holding tank? Or is this only for people that get a building permit and want to use above ground holding tank for their temporary quarters?
And that's a great question. I mean, this right now is limited to to use during construction of their primary dwelling. We can expand it. I mean, the 3 or 4 questions that I got last summer, fall were for during construction. So we were trying to limit it to that group. You know, the question becomes, do we want to expand it to, you know, people that have a travel trailer here and that's what they use during the summer, every summer. You know, I know, and Madeline Sanitary District has made very clear about, you know, the concern with the density between the pump out tanks and the regular, and that will always stick with me. So, you know, they'll be part of that decision as well, as far as do we want to expand it. And I don't know how many that would be. I don't know. I'm open to it. I'm open to everyone's input on it.
As long as they have to follow all these regulations, and one big one is that the gray water and the black water go into that tank. So they're not diverting their gray water and just putting black water in. Now you've got,
Correct.
Sludge.
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, and nobody wants to deal with that, either the pumpers nor the sanitary district.
Agreed.
So
I think we want to be accommodating to people as much as we can, but we don't want to be overrun. Like what the trailers have gotten away from us and are overrun. If it's during construction, when they're building up a primary residence, I think it's accommodating. I think we have to watch what we do on this one.
I think with people just long-term camping, this holding tank makes things a little more cozy and permanent.
I mean, my goal here is to take everyone's input, and, you know, we can make any changes to this. I was hoping to hear back from DSPS, but they're very busy on a lot of things. You know, as soon as I get their input, it would be sharing it with the Madeline Sanitary District to get their input as well.
yeah, I know you've done some research on this to look at size of tanks and et cetera. Do you know of municipalities that have above ground holding tanks now?
Yeah, so Adams County and Barron County both allow it. I reached out to their zoning administrator and they provided me the language that they have.
This is what they use for construction?
They're allowing it, I think, for a wider group. So, but I know that opens it up. I don't know the universe, right? And I want to be careful that we're not writing something that's for a very specific group and writing it so open that it grows from 3 or 5 units on the island to 100
Yeah.
or whatever the number is. I don't know. Without being eyes wide open.
Yeah, and at the same time, you have to look at not excluding someone for having a good way to dump their sewage.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is a balance. And I want to make sure that we're looking at it. Yeah, absolutely.
So what does the TPC feel? That it should just be for construction, or we open it up for people that are constructing a dwelling and also for long-term camping? Because that would be the other.
I'd like to hear back from everyone that Rich has not heard back from, specifically the haulers and the sanitary district. I mean, if say the sanitary district says, no, we're not allowing any of this, well, it's off the table anyway. So
Okay.
I want to hear from everybody first.
Yeah.
The haulers, Madeline Sanitary District.
The only thing that we have to keep in mind too is, as long as we're doing the zoning rewrite, if we're going to include this, now it's time to get.
I agree, correct, yep. Yeah, so hopefully,
Pressure on.
Well, and we're making great progress. I mean, Ashland's replied. I was hoping DSPS and I can reach out to them next week. And then back to the sanitary district and
because ultimately if the sanitary district said, no, we're not going to accept that waste, well,
Over.
yeah, it was tough a little bit on my decision-making process as to who to start with. Because I didn't want to take it to people and say, here, can you take a look at this in depth? And it already be dead on arrival from one.
no, granted, if someplace like say the Ashland accepts it, well, you could pay a hauler to haul it to Ashland, but what's that going to cost? With the ferry and everything else. And I think honestly, the sanitary district is a key player in this.
100%. And this is not any different than what was shared last fall
Mhm.
with them. But again, you know, it wasn't signed off on.
Okay.
I'm not for a long-term camping being included in this. I think we should take baby steps on this and go with what the sanitary district says and what they can handle. It's liable to get out of hand if we open it up too much. Then you can't bring it back.
I mean, real quick, and I know we're kind of running over here. I mean, there's like 8 of them on here. So let me just review it, just, you know, the line of thinking here, size limitation larger than 500 gallons. That it would be installed under the camping unit whenever possible or placed no more than 2 feet horizontally from the camping unit body, recessed into a finished grade no more than 4 inches with adequate anchoring to prevent flotation, and provisions made to protect the unit from physical damage. All black and gray water tanks from the unit must be routed into the above ground holding tank. Time of use, I put a restriction, March through October. It may not be used over the winter months. The tank must have a full functioning gauge or alarm that notifies the owner when it is 75 to 80% full. The property owner must have applied for and been approved by the Madeline Sanitary District. Property owner must have signed a signed agreement with one of the pumping services on the island. And the last one is the use of an above ground tank is not allowed after the permanent holding tank is installed and functional. I mean, so I think that covers a lot of the, you know,
It's good.
So if it can only be used March through October,
Mhm.
they have to get it pumped out even if it's half full in October to make sure that there's nothing in it that could freeze over the winter. Is that correct?
well, what I've not looked at is how much can be in there and
And it can freeze?
correct, right,
Yeah.
And crack.
Yeah,
right.
okay.
So that's part of what I need to look into. I mean, we could add in there that, you know, it must be empty over winter. We could add,
Or so, you know, whatever
yes,
Yeah, I think.
Whatever
empty
won't
is the
pack
way
it.
to go, because how else are you gonna go? You could go in there and,
yeah,
you know, try and,
yardstick.
I guess you could, but I'd like to just have it
So-
empty.
a
Yeah.
lot of these they're, from what I've been reading online, is they're somewhat transparent. I mean, they're not clear, but you can tell how much is in there.
Oh, okay.
But we've put in there that you have to have, there's a gauge that you buy that you put on the top, which indicates how full it is.
Okay. Well, as long as we find out, like, how, I don't want them to have to get 10 gallons pumped out in October if they never use it all summer, but I don't want anything cracking.
Right, understood.
So if we could make a rule about how full it can be in October.
Yeah,
As far as the black tank goes on the camper, they're gonna have to actually empty that into the holding tank. The gray water can just free flow from the camper into the holding tank, but the black water can't because that needs the fluids,
yes,
you know?
yes. But some of them are also configured where you release the black tank first, and then by releasing what you've got in the gray tank, it cleans out the system. So,
Yeah.
Sounds like we got a few more things to iron out here.
we're working through it.
Yeah.
Is March too early? Should be April through October. I'm just thinking how cold it could be in March.
Sure. Yeah,
I'm thinking April is more realistic because the 1st of March can be pretty damn cold.
Well, we all know everybody follows the rules.
I'm just throwing stuff. I know we all.
Thanks, Rick. Portable movable structures, duration on site. I think this has to do with saunas and
Tiny homes?
A problem or an issue?
well, we don't define how long a sauna can be in the 75-foot setback. It can't be there permanently, but if it's on wheels, someone could move it in there within the 75 feet and use it. and we've talked about previously that you could take your boat on a trailer and you could park it there pretty much indefinitely. And there are locations on the island that are very visible. If you put a sauna there and we don't have a deadline, or do we? Is it in there?
Well, right now, and I know we're changing this, but that's why we had the definition of a structure, talking about things on wheels, but we're taking it out, so
Right.
I think we should leave the structure alone, but we're changing it. So right now, a structure is, you know, when the just because a structure is mounted on wheels does not mean that it lacks a fixed location on the ground. When the primary function of on wheels is not for mobility, but shifts to a specific purpose, land or building is designed, arranged, blah, blah, blah. I think if we kept the thing of structure in our ordinance as it is written now, I think that would solve most of your issues with affordable anything.
Right, because I am getting questions on this
Yeah.
specific topic.
Well, something to think about when we're redoing the ordinance is the definition of structure as we have it now. At least it gives you probably legal grounding, and this went through Fauerbach when he was our attorney at the time, and he didn't have a problem with it. So just keep that in mind as well. Because it sounds like you're possibly running into something we ran into 20 years ago.
Yeah, I
I think
am.
this has
I'm
served
getting
us
asked
well, but-
that specific question of how long can I leave it there?
Well,
Yeah, I guess, you know, a sauna is way more of a structure than a boat on a trailer. But if it's a cabin cruiser on a trailer, then it's like living quarters, and people are taking old boats and on a trailer and just living in them.
mhm. I don't know, does that help you at all? Or?
I think the takeaway from tonight is let's think about that, and on April 15th. Talk about, do we restore it, do we not?
Okay. Yeah.
The fence in the right of way. I think we should, give the town board a recommendation on that.
You want a motion? Some effect?
I think so. Move the fence, variance, easement.
Well, honestly, I don't-
Options.
I don't think any further action is deemed necessary at this time on that. I mean, with all the evidence we've had, you know, it was erected before the advent of zoning was, you know, implemented.
The old.
And honestly,
fence, but
if
not
a
the
survey
current.
would have identified it in the right of way at the time, it probably wouldn't have been built there, but it wasn't a requirement. So there again,
Yeah.
since 1968, 9, whatever, the town board has never had to take action on it due to a complaint or any other concern. I don't know. I just think.
But now that there is a complaint, can we give them a variance or an easement so that the
Yeah, but who's gonna
complaint
pay, yeah, but
stops?
who's gonna pay for a variance? So that's the thing. The variance is a process. It's $750.
They can always be,
Huh?
you know.
Town board wants to do it. I don't know. I just.
Yeah, you know, there is something in the law. If you put a fence up on your neighbor's property and after it sits there
It's
for 7
adverse
years.
possession.
Exactly.
And I would say for the town board, if they want the town's attorney to explore that, I don't know why the yacht club could just turn around and say, hey, this damn fence has been in its present location since 1968. It's adverse possession. You've never complained about it since 68 or 69, whenever it was erected. I mean, there is also such a thing as, you know, if the allegations, I don't think are sufficiently serious in nature to warrant the time and resources necessary to pursue the matter further. I mean, there's garages within 5 feet of the road services. Is a town going to go after every garage that doesn't? I mean, you can clearly see some of these things. This thing, yeah, okay, it's a foot, half a foot, whatever. I mean, I just think from a zoning standpoint and a TPC standpoint, I don't think any other action is necessary. If the town board wants to go to the town's attorney, that's not our call. We don't, that should be the town's business to say, hey, whoever the town attorney is nowadays, I don't even know anymore. What's your opinion on this matter, and let it get laid out in the legalese. But from a zoning standpoint, I don't see where this is that serious of a complaint or allegation that needs any further action. I think we've already explored it long enough. in
Well,
my opinion.
I think the adverse possession, legality, I think that solves the whole problem.
I think so as well.
We make that recommendation to the town board.
Well, I don't even know if we need to.
Well, they want something from us.
They're specifically asking for something.
Yeah,
Okay, so adverse possession.
I think it's the question of adverse possession. The fact that the fence has been in the present location since the late 60s prior to zoning of May of 72. The fact that town has never had an issue, or no one has had an issue up until 2026 or 25, whenever the complaint was filed. I mean, ultimately, if you want to say the allegations are not of sufficiently serious nature to warrant the time and resources necessary to pursue the matter, that's what I believe. And then, like Paul said, adverse possession. If the town board wants to explore the legal end of this, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know, but that's why you have a town's attorney, or ask the Towns Association. Towns Association has attorney, it doesn't cost anything. You could pose that to them.
We're thinking adverse possession.
I'm thinking adverse
unless
possession.
Unless the town board wants the attorney to look it over.
I don't see where a variance is gonna solve anything. It's just gonna, more time, more money.
Well,
Because if you go through a variance, you're gonna have the Board of Appeals involved with a variance.
I think an easement's a better
Well,
solution
and-
to a variance, but,
I would agree with that as well. And maybe that's a question to the town's attorney as well. Would an easement make make everybody happy? Because, I don't know, what if someone creams into that fence? I mean, who's liable for that then? I'm not an attorney, I don't know. I'm just a dumb TPC person.
property owner is usually liable for what they have on their property.
I would think, but
No matter where.
the town's gonna get dragged into it. We got deep pockets.
adverse possession just sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go with that.
Get a consensus
I
and
mean,
ship
I don't
it
know if
out.
they want a motion or if a consensus is enough for them.
I think just a recommendation with consensus.
I mean,
Yeah.
I could make a long ass motion, but
No, just recommend and send it on.
Yep.
Amy's here. She's on the town board. She can vouch for us.
If they don't like it, we'll see it again.
Yeah.
The recommendation is,
For the town to look at this adverse possession to solve the issue.
And with the possibility of running it past the town's attorney.
Or the town's
So, yeah,
association.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
and so the adverse possession, so I understand it, it's, since it's been there for 57 years and no one has complained about it, it was there
More
before.
importantly, it was in the town's right of way and the town did not complain.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Now what?
Next item. Right, Chair?
Yeah. Other potential zoning and UDC violations which are in the works, so I don't think we need to
Right.
talk about any of those, including the home business and zoning R3, commercial storage and W1, both. Sixth Street vacate request, an update on that.
Nothing.
Nothing on that. CUP process, discuss online training, potential joint meeting with the town board. Nothing on that. We're super busy. Tech memo number 3, next steps. Were you working on that, Charlie?
At one time,
Yeah,
but we've been busy
Yep.
with other things, Paul.
yeah.
I can't think of one.
No, we're up to our ears in alligators.
Okay.
Do I need a permit? Update on creating an informational permit summary and question and answer for the public. Anything
In
on that?
process.
In process, okay, so. All right, new business.
It's all old business.
Yeah,
So,
future agenda items,
Well,
work in progress. Extended public comment. Paul.
Or was there a rhetorical question? If there's counties that allow these extra large holding tanks for RVs, I'd be kind of curious as to where the waste is dumped, specifically if it's mechanical treatment plant or if it's aerated lagoon, because aerated lagoons aren't really the best for hauled waste. With one wastewater treatment plant isn't the same regardless.
I have something to say.
Go ahead.
This is my last meeting before my term expires. So I wish to thank you all for the opportunity to work with you for a very diverse bunch of people I've been on for 19 years now. I've seen a lot come and go. And they've all been nice people with no agenda. Even if we disagreed, there was no anger, there was no bad words or anything. Everybody just went their way and we're still friendly. And I think hopefully that is the feeling from here on. Nobody's had any agenda up to now, and we followed through on that, and we worked together well, and they've been a very fine bunch of people. So I thank you for the opportunity. Bye.
thank you, Sue Ellen.
thank you, Sir Alan.
Next scheduled meeting, May 6th, 4:30 PM. We might meet before that.
If we do meet before that, that would also be at 4:30, correct? Okay.
Yes, we'll still meet here, but we
Yeah.
may have a sneaky one, you know.
Yep.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
That guy